Officially the Josh Harris era as Ron Rivera is fired and two new hires that were unexpected. We've got it right now on your news alert. Let's go. Greetings and salutations and welcome to Ref of the District's News Alert. I'm Nathan Perry here on the Believe Network, and it is a new day, a new dawn, as Ron Rivera was officially let go by the team. Josh Harris making the announcement this morning. Of course, Adam Schefter first report, and then a lot of people coming in and also agreeing. First report said Marty Mayhew was fired as well. That's not the case, and there were two unexpected hires that we'll get to here in your news alert. But first thing is first here was the Josh Harris statement on letting go of Ron Rivera. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, I know you ain't got time for all that reading. And if you're listening to this on audio, don't worry. I also have you covered. The first part of the statement here from Josh Harris is the decision to part ways with Ron Rivera. They thank him and his wife for everything they've done. Then they've talked about how Ron helped navigate the organization and how he positively contributed to it and everything. And they wish nothing best but the best for Ron Rivera going forward. And I'm going to echo that statement. Wish nothing but the best for Ron Rivera. I think that he was a great bridge coach. You know, we hear the term all the time, bridge QB, the one to get us to the next one. And I think that he was an excellent bridge coach to get us from one owner to the next owner. And the terminology used here and all the thinking and all the wishing wells and stuff is what you'd expect with a well-respected coach like Ron Rivera. First reports were coming out that he was fired, and I felt like that was a little odd and harsh. I mean, it's not untrue, but parting ways and also all this other stuff is what I would expect from Ron Rivera. Now, the Ron Rivera era has had a lot of misses on it. And honestly, coming in with the second overall pick and leaving with the second overall pick doesn't, look great for him. But he has had positive contributions to the team over his time. And now that he is going, it is going to be a new era here in Washington. I think one of the things that was the biggest kind of noticeable thing with Ron Rivera was he was hired to do this coach-centric kind of approach. Well, it doesn't look like that's what's going to be happening next here, as the next part of the Josh Harris statement is actually about the advisor group. I mentioned two hires. Initial reports named both Bob Myers and Rick Spielman as being hired by the Washington Commanders and Josh Harris. It was a bit murky at first because it very much said that they were hired to assist in finding the head of football operations and the next head coach, but the terminology used was kind of iffy. And so thankfully, some people cleared it up a little bit later, the statement being very clear as well. They were hired as advisors with Mitch Rales, Magic Johnson, David Blitzer, Bob Myers, and Rick Spielman making up the advisor group with Josh Harris to find the next people for this franchise. That's your GM, that's your head coach. They're all being brought together here in Washington to find the next set of people. Now, Bob Myers is coming over from the NBA. Technically, he was an analyst, but he was the GM of the Golden State Warriors, led them to championships. He was a two-time GM, a winner there in the NBA. Most importantly, I think here is that he brings that championship pedigree to Washington. And that is exciting. Him and Magic Johnson both know what it takes to make, be a champion. Now, that's on the NBA side. So I do hope some of that transfers over. But he is a very smart individual, and he brings a lot about how to put an organization together. And in his statement, he actually does talk about how he has known Josh Harris for many years. I mean, you got to figure he was with the Warriors while Josh Harris was with the 76ers. So there's probably some good interactions that they've had. And then he talks about the championship infrastructure, beginning with strong ownership and what it takes and to build that a world-class organization, as he says here in his statement. And I think this is an exciting time for Washington to see the difference between how the former guy kind of went about things and how Josh Harris is trying to take a very measured approach. Now, there's already rumors that Myers has reached out to the, the for Jim Harbaugh over in Michigan, talking to his agent and stuff like that. That might be getting the cart before the horse there, but I do think that that might be a target for them. But first, I think they're going to want to put in the GM, and they want that information there. And Bob Myers is going to be one of the people to assist with that and how building a franchise should work. The other hire there is from Rick Spielman, who made his statement as well with the team about how he's excited to be a part of it and finding the right people and willing to invest the time, energy, and resources into building a franchise the right way. Rick Spielman, coming from Minnesota, many years as the GM, has a lot of front office experience there with Minnesota. He was fired. So I think that's important to know. Bob Myers stepped down to do other things. Spielman was fired, but Spielman does bring a lot of experience, and he also brings that NFL experience where Myers is bringing NBA championship experience. You have Spielman bringing in that NFL experience for the front office and how it should be. So I think this advisory group is going to be really interesting to see how they kind of go through and find the next GM and head coach. Now, that they are going to be a part of that head coach hiring. So I think that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that works. Because if they hire the GM first, are they not going to let the GM just make his own decision? Or are they going to help that GM find the right coach? Like I mentioned, Harbaugh was mentioned. We already squashed the rumors about Bill Belichick because those were, John Keim came in and was just like, no, this ain't happening. Let's move on. And we trust in Keim's reporting on that one. But Harbaugh thing is interesting. Who's going to be the next head coach? Who's going to be the next GM? We don't know, but we do know the odds of that are happening over on Bet Online. In fact, they have all of your wagering and odds and information there right at your fingertips, whether or not be the playoffs for the NFL coming up, NBA action. You've got all that and more right there at Bet Online. And you can use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get yourself a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Of course, we encourage you to bet responsibly. I think this is an exciting time for Washington and Washington fans as we get to see what this franchise is going to be in the future. Harris is going to be the owner for a long time, and this is really his first start. Ron Rivera was not just a relic of the past, but he was from the previous ownership. And now we're going to see who Josh Harris hires and who he puts in place. And then we're going to see how those people build a team. And I think Washington it's a very exciting time right now because we can get potentially people in here who are going to lead this team for the next decade. You've got 5 picks within the top 100, 6 picks in the top 106. I think Washington could really make a move within the next year or two if those decision makers are the right decision makers and if they make the right decisions come free agency and draft. Of course, we'll have it all right here on Ref the District for you. So make sure that you stay tuned on the channel, subscribe to the channel, subscribe if you're listening to the audio platforms. Make sure you leave us a rating and review. I'm Nathan Perry here with your news alert. Ron Rivera fired. Spielman and Myers have been hired. We're presented by Bet Online. And until next time, it's a new day. It's a new dawn. Be a fan.